Here's some business advice that's blindingly obvious once you know it. The most persuasive, the most likable entrepreneurs and business owners almost always use stories, metaphors, analogies to get their point across. What you might not realize is that buried within those stories, analogies, metaphors, more often than not, they are harnessing the power of association. So what's that? Not so long ago, indeed this is about 2 weeks ago, I found myself playing a game of Celebrity Head in a ski chalet with a bunch of entrepreneurial business owners. And one of those people was a guy called Jack Bourne. Jack Bourne is the founder of a business called Deadline Funnel. If you've ever spent more than 5 minutes in the digital marketing space, if you've had even a modicum of success in that space, you'll know Deadline Funnel. You're probably using the tool or you've used it somewhere in the past. It took the concept of scarcity and it turned it into a product. Very, very cool. Anyway, we're playing this game that's like Celebrity Head. He's got a phone in his hand and animals are appearing on the screen. And we've got to tell him what those animals are without telling him what the animal is on the screen. So we're saying bald-headed and he's saying eagle. And then we might say something Dundee and he says crocodile. Then the next animal comes up and there's this moment of silence. We all look at it. And then suddenly I blurt out chlamydia. That's what I yell at. And there's this moment where I feel a little bit awkward and a little bit embarrassed in this room full of people. But without missing a beat, he says koala. And that is because Australians know this, the rest of the world might not, but a lot of koalas have chlamydia. It's a serious problem. Anyway, I see the animal, I yell at chlamydia, he says koala, we all laugh and the game moves on. So in that story just then, I used the power of association in 3 different ways. The first way is that I leveraged Jack's celebrity. I took a little bit of his celebrity and his success and I borrowed it. I borrowed his celebrity and success and I attached it to me by simply telling a story where I was in the same room of someone that runs a software as a service company that's very, very successful. Now you see this all the time. I mean, bro marketers do this when you see them sitting on Lambos. Anyone that's ever shared a selfie of them next to Arnold Schwarzenegger or someone else famous, what they're doing is they're harnessing the power of association to borrow a little bit of that other person's celebrity or prestige. That's the first way. The second way is when we're pitching something and we need to get a message across really, really quickly, we can use the power of association to borrow other people's ideas or other people's concepts. So for example, remember there was a movie that came out a couple of decades ago and there was these creatures that popped out of people's chests and everyone was running around a space station and Sigourney Weaver was part of the cast. Remember that? What was that movie called? Well, when that was pitched to Hollywood, it was pitched as Jaws in space. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Aliens, which became the first in the franchise. But it was not all that stuff involving, the guy, the android, and all these other different interesting characters. It was Jaws in space. They borrowed the success of another movie by harnessing the power of association. Now, the third example of association is the most important to a business owner just like you. And that there is identifying the personality traits that you want associated with your brand. Because if you do not decide what personality traits you want associated with your brand, the industry will decide for you. And more often than not, they will choose the personality traits that are the stereotypical, cliched, often toxic personality traits associated with your business. So yeah, every successful brand is made up of 2 things, purpose plus personality. Most people know what their purpose is, personality not so much. If you want to know what my purpose is, click on the link in my bio. But for now, if you've never done this before, sit down and write down 3 to 5 personality traits so that you can take ownership of your own brand. Because if you don't take ownership of it, the market's going to make that decision for you. And before you know it, you're going to end up being your own industry equivalent of chlamydia.